thank you all for joining our home improvement brand builder. We're at a strange junction point with people super focused on improving their own homes, but also challenged and frustrated with the supply chain and now inflation implications. As someone in the last stages of a complete home renovation, trust me when I say everything takes a little bit longer and costs a little bit more than you expect. So how do you break through to your potential consumers? Well, we have a panel of experts here to discuss and strategize just that. Before I get to them, just a quick reminder that we also will have a Q&A at the end of the session. So enter your questions anytime at the button at the below for the Q&A box. I'll be back on the screen at the end to ask our panel your questions. Now for our panelists. From out front, we have Erin Brady, Marketing Director, and Studios Art Director, Sandra Spahik. We also are privileged to have two great clients on the call today. Paul Spies, co-founder at Ironhead Roofing, one of Oregon's fastest growing roofing companies, serving both commercial and residential consumers. And Marshall Dirks, Director of Marketing and E-commerce at Proven Winners, the leading flowering plants brand in North America. With that, take it away, Erin.
Okay, so hopefully everybody's seeing that. So thank you, Liz. Hello to everyone out there. I am super excited to be here as well. Truly, I feel like the stars have all aligned. And today is the day I get to talk about two of my most favorite topics, out-of-home advertising and home improvement. Honestly, that is 100% the truth. I'm a marketing director by day, and I'm also an avid DIYer. I absolutely love to renovate and create beautiful spaces. So welcome to our current and to our new friends, and hopefully you're equally as excited about today's content. And here's what that's going to be. So in the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to discuss today's ever-evolving consumer and how that translates into 2022 media consumption. We'll talk in depth about what's going on in home improvement and how to effectively use out-of-home to achieve and or exceed your marketing goals. Then, as Liz mentioned, we have two amazing clients who've joined us. So we'll start with Paul. He's going to share insights and highlights from Ironhead Roofing's out-of-home campaigns. Sandra's going to take over. She's an amazing art director. She's going to showcase some of the very best ways to have your creative messaging become kind of that showstopper in a marketplace. Marshall is here from Proven Winners. He will share how he and his brand are continuing to find success by utilizing smart analytics as well as the very best in out-of-home to engage with their target audiences. Finally, we'll round it out with some Q&A. So everybody on the call, please be interactive and send those questions. So what is going on with today's consumer? Well, many studies have shown post-quarantine, a large majority of Americans are feeling digital burnout. Very specifically, it's 63% of us. And because of this, nearly 40% of all people are intentionally decreasing our screen time. So couple that with the fact that 75% of Americans are actively skipping ads, and that has created quite the hurdle for digital media channels. So if not digital, what is it that people are actively seeking out in 2022? The answer is real world experiences. We're getting outside of our homes. We're doing things like attending concerts. We're enjoying live performances, traveling here, traveling abroad. Really, the list goes on. This is why the experience economy is seeing such a massive growth. This is also one of the reasons that we've seen incredible increase in traffic across the entire nation. Total miles driven by Americans is up 8% year over year to an all-time record high. And out of home is absolutely part of that journey, with over 70% of consumers currently reporting an increased awareness of and an appreciation for outdoor advertising. Additionally, we're seeing a massive shift in spending habits and brand loyalty amongst consumers. So whether it's supply chain issues or inflation making desired products unaffordable, more and more shoppers are finding themselves in need of a backup plan. And we are almost all of us are willing to explore new options. It's this willingness to switch and our openness to consideration that represent an incredible opportunity for you and really any brand looking to gain greater market share. So let's switch gears for a minute and let's talk about home improvement. So no doubt the pandemic caused some businesses to thrive while others could barely survive. Home improvement actually soared as more people spent time at home. Now it has grown into a mammoth $538 billion category. Today, every 1 out of 3 Americans are planning or working on a home improvement project, and they anticipate spending 45% higher than they would have before the pandemic. Also, there's a large majority of us right now setting aside our tax returns to fund home improvement projects. So what are these projects that we're all working on? In today's day and age, kitchens and baths are still king. Interior beautification like painting, wallpaper, flooring, decor, they rank right up there, along with, might I say, less sexy fixes like HVAC or AC systems. And let's not forget curb appeal, which includes many things, including landscape, siding, new roofs, outdoor patios, outdoor lighting, really the list goes on. These are all projects right now that homeowners are making purchasing decisions about. So I'd like to take just 1 minute to take a deeper dive into how homeowners go about making these choices and how out of home can help you capture these home improvement intenders. Over 50% of people who begin their home improvement project by going online. They're looking for information, they're looking for inspiration, they're also looking for customer referrals and customer reviews. Out of home does exactly this by pushing over 40% of viewers to visit websites and/or search for more information. Trust. Trust is a top consideration when making a home improvement purchase. And since trust is one of the #1 factors, out of home status as America's most trusted media, according to a recent survey, absolutely makes it a perfect fit. Home improvement is an incredibly unique category in the fact that 87% of people still physically go out and make their final purchase decisions in store and in person. We want to touch the products, we want to see them, we want to envision them in our spaces. We want to meet with experts in person and get their advice. Out of home can be with these consumers not only throughout their multiple paths to purchase, but all throughout the decision-making process. So what does this mean to you? Well, not only is the marketplace ripe for your messaging, but when used strategically, out of home can potentially help you catapult your brand. So some opportunities may include messaging about availability. You've got it, your competitors do not. People are more likely than ever to try something new, and not having to wait is an incredible value proposition right now. Price points and sales are a great way to gain new consumers. Again, with inflation at an all-time high, every penny counts has never rang more true. Home improvement professional services are also in high demand. And with so many contractors backed up and do-it-yourself material cost on the rise, hiring a professional can provide enormous peace of mind. Then there's co-op. Every year, numerous co-op dollars go unused. If you are a brand that partners with certain products, quite often these companies will help fund the cost of your advertising. So in essence, it's free money to help you promote your brand. And last but not least, there's now hiring. Just like so many businesses, staffing is an absolute challenge. Actually, when I was preparing for today's conversation, I read the average age of a tradesman, or a tradesperson, I should say, is almost 60 years old. So these people are nearing retirement, and more than likely you'll need to refill that bench. If you're not out there looking for talent, you can bet your competitors are. So now that we see the perfect alignment between home improvement and out of home, I will close out my portion by saying, if we are not already, we would love to go on this journey with you. Outfront is the most visible media platform in the United States. We reach 75% of the population every week. We have a powerful platform of more than 650,000 assets, and they are available for every size brand and every size budget. Our media is woven into the fabric of our communities, and it's always on. Truly, we've worked with numerous home improvement brands to help them achieve their goals and or exceed their goals many times. So speaking of that, I will now hand it over to one of our valued partners, Paul, who's going to share with us what keeps Ironhead Roofing coming back to out of home. Paul?
Cool. Thanks, Erin. So my name is Paul Spees. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with Outfront. I'm the co-founder of Ironhead Roofing. We're based in Corvallis, Oregon, about an hour and a half south of Portland, Oregon, in the Willamette Valley. We started our company in 2017. We've experienced some awesome growth over that period. We've grown our revenue 12 times since starting 5 years ago. And then we're on track to grow 60% this year as well. I'd say about 70% of our business is coming from residential roofing. We've been working with Kurt from Outfront since 2019. I was skeptical kind of at first to use billboards, but over time I started to understand that we could use billboards to supplement our marketing and drive growth much faster, especially as a new company trying to acquire customers and build word of mouth referrals was pretty important to us. We also try other, we have other marketing things that we do. We do pay-per-click, Facebook, direct mail, as well as some lead generation websites. Most of the marketing that we do is in cities with about 50 to 100,000 people. So we're kind of in smaller markets. My view of billboards and the experience I've had has been they've been extremely effective, especially when they've been timed well with like the seasonality of our industry. As roofing goes, like most people end up searching for roof replacements starting in March, like based on Google Analytics. So we like to time our billboards starting in March through May, try to get ahead of our competition a little bit and lock up, our billboard contracts. We've also used a lot of humor in our billboards, and we've allowed like Outfront to help us kind of brand Ironhead Roofing, kind of as a fun, younger company, which is a little bit different in the roofing industry. There's a lot of kind of legacy traditional roofing companies out there, so we try to do things a little bit differently. Most of our billboard campaigns are about 8 weeks long. We'll do 6 to 8 billboards at a time in these kind of smaller markets, and then we'll also do annual billboards in some high visibility areas, just to kind of stay consistent. In terms of like ROI, with the margins that we have in roofing, in most cases, if we land one job from a billboard, we'll end up getting really close to breaking even. If we can contribute 2 jobs to a billboard in a 1-month period, we're gonna make money. So it doesn't take much for us to get there based on our industry, which is pretty cool. And obviously, I know billboard costs vary across the country, but that's how it works where we are. We've been super open to the creative ideas from the Outfront design team. I've been impressed with their concepts. During the first year of the pandemic, we ran this billboard that you're looking at right now. It's 2020, you never know. You never know, or whatever. And we ended up getting like 2 or 3 people on social media message us, telling us that they were driving in traffic and they had like a really bad day, and that when they saw this billboard, they couldn't stop laughing. And like after that experience, I was like, wow, 1, people are looking at our billboards, and 2, like we can actually make people like happy with the billboard, which is pretty interesting. And then it was kind of cool. This particular billboard, I think, where there was another version of it, got nominated for some sort of like, I don't know what the industry term is, but there's some billboard Grammy award or whatever. I don't know what it'd be, but that was pretty neat too, to have our billboard from the design team be nominated and kind of recognized, I think, on a national level. So that was neat. I think doing, fun billboards to make people laugh while getting your brand or message out there has been an effective strategy for us. I really contribute billboard marketing to allow us to grow our business at a much faster rate. We would do, when we would do our billboards, typically in our smaller markets, we would try to take as many as we could, even like alternating billboards or doing a couple in a row. And it sounds silly, but I think we would get a ton of feedback when people would call that they said they'd see, we see you guys everywhere between our trucks and billboards. So I think it allowed us to kind of ramp up faster than it would have normally. Kind of some data on our side, 1 in 10 to 1 in 15 people will say, billboard, is the reason they heard from, they heard of us. Obviously, it's hard to track too. A lot of people also come in and say Google, but I think all that stuff kind of, plays together. When we're not running like large active campaigns, I feel a sense of not being like top of mind in our community. And as a roofing contractor, our main office is not in a visible location. So as a result, we save on rent, for that exact reason. So billboards have allowed us to get that like high value real estate and exposure when we need it. And we got the flexibility of like turning it on and off, especially with like uncertain economic times potentially coming, to have the flexibility to like have the exposure when you want it. And, know that, for the most part, billboard contracts that we have are 4 to 8 weeks long. So it's not that, scary in terms of a commitment for us. So yeah, we've been really happy with Outfront. We're excited to keep working with you guys, and the creatives that we have are really cool, and we want to obviously keep growing in Oregon. So, yep, thank you. Yeah, that's all I have.
I think we're going to hop over to our art director, Sandra.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Sandra. I'm an art director in our Detroit market, and I've been in the out-of-home industry for over 6 years. With every client that I get to work with and every campaign that I create, my love only just grows stronger and stronger for this industry. Whoops. Let's go back a little bit. So of course, before working in this industry and seeing its true power, I questioned why out of home? And I'm sure most of you watching right now are asking that same question. Out of home has the ability to provoke emotion unlike any other medium. Just take a look at all of these people experiencing all the feels while interacting with our assets. These larger than life canvases are literally impossible to ignore. You can't mute them or swipe past them. And in a world where practically everything is digital, out of home is real, it's there, and people are experiencing physical connection with it. This is why I feel out of home is the most unique medium. Out of home gives you the unique opportunity to whisper to one as individuals are having a one-on-one connection with your ad, and scream to thousands as we have billboards that are targeted in high traffic locations. So hopefully by the end of this conversation, you all feel inspired to and truly see the value and power in our medium and instead question, why not out of home? 100% of boring ads don't matter. Now, did we make this statistic up? Yes. But is it true? Also, yes. At least we believe so. The impression that you make is so important. You want people to feel the heart of your business through your ad. If your ad feels cluttered with too much copy, dull imagery, and several forms of contact, like a phone number, a website, and your social media, people will just tune your ad out. Now, here's an example of an ad that is definitely not boring. Flex Seal is a brand of adhesive bonding products. This creative was pitched as a concept of the board obviously being sawed in half, then later bonded back together with their product. And this is really portraying how strong and reliable their product is in a really conceptual and captivating way. We had deep conversation with our creative and operations team on how exactly we would pull this off on our structures. Since the pandemic, QR codes have had quite a renaissance. They are great features on pedestrian assets because they act as a tool linking audiences to your websites, social platform, or even AR experiences. This just enhances the overall consumer engagement. Here's another great ad studios created with Green Shield Home Improvement. We use extensions popping out of the side of the canvas to create a unique, eye-catching ad. It's just really amazing to be part of an incredible team where the creative team comes up with these great ideas and we prioritize our clients' partnerships. And we also have the capabilities to do so. So who are we? Who is Studios? We are Outfront's in-house creative agency. Our award-winning team works with local clients, reaching local consumers, as well as regional and national level clients and consumers. What sets us apart from any other creative agency is our creative process. We always begin our process by getting inspired, and we find that inspiration from learning about your business. We want to know who you are, where you started, and what's your brand's personality. Now, take a look at a roofing company with tons of personality. Ironhead Roofing has been a client of ours for years, but before this awesome campaign took off, we met with them and got to know them as a business, really trying to understand what purpose they wanted their ads to serve. The main topic of conversation was the ads had to be crazy and out of the box. I literally can't think of anything more out of the box than monkeys fixing a roof on a billboard. We utilize sequential boards to tell a story. No monkey business. This was a fun, lighthearted approach to take a dig at their competitors. Ironhead Roofing's campaign only grew from there. They're a great example of how partnering with studios helps build effective, award-winning campaigns. Here at Outfront, we don't like to work speculatively. As I said earlier, we are inspired by finding out what is at the core of your business. What sets you apart from competitors, and why should consumers choose you over them? We want to understand what your goals are for your campaign. Once we have gathered all our information and research, we go back, we brainstorm with our team, and that's when the magic truly happens and we're able to create these impactful campaigns for you. Now, speaking of impactful and effective, take a look at this absolutely stunning campaign. Without even showing the product, this is effective. The minimalistic and clean approach provokes so much emotion here. These give off a mood that is calm. It feels like it's a sunny morning and I want to open my shutters to let the sun seep through and kiss my face. With just an aesthetic photo, a tagline, and their website, these ads helped me release happy endorphins. Consumers will subconsciously remember this feeling when they are shopping around for your product. So what do all these campaigns have in common? They relied on the foundation of trust. Having these conversations and building a relationship with trust is our first step and priority in creating effective out-of-home campaigns. We have earned trust of many of our clients, and one of them being Dependable Painting and Remodeling Company. They saw huge results from our outfront leads compared to other mediums they were advertising with. Business has been booming for them, and they credit us for a big part of their success. Now, we aren't just here to create amazing ads. We're here to partner with you. We want to work with your in-house team to make sure that your ads are effective and impactful as ones we would create for you. In fact, we work with many different teams, one of them being a local Detroit client, the Carpet Guys. They have been a great client, and because of their trust in us, we have worked as a media advisor to help them run successful ads for years. So you see, no matter how big or how small your business, we want to be your partner and truly be a part of your growth and success. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm going to pass this along to Marshall with Proven Winners.
Thank you, Sandra. I am trying to get this. Yeah, so thank you guys for the opportunity to share. Proven Winners is a national plant brand. And so we sell about 150 million plants across about 15,000 garden centers, whether it's box stores or independent garden centers. And so we actually began working with Out Front before they were even out front. It was CVS Outdoor. We were doing some things way back in the past with them. And we've been working very, very closely with Ben Lewis. He's amazing. He gets us all the information that we're looking at, whether it's key markets or the desire to expand in certain areas. When we're looking at delivery efficiencies, that's also been important during COVID when fewer people were driving. We were looking at traffic reports just to really make sure that our campaign was really, really effective. And when people ask me, what is the return on investment and how do you measure that? I really feel it's less of Outfront's responsibility and more of my responsibility to make sure that I've identified the right location, worked with them, consolidated our message, and then really what is the call to action that you want the billboard to actually communicate. And so working with Outfront, they've helped us understand those things and shown us the best places. They actually watch things years in advance sometimes on locations I really, really want to be at. And they protect those for us and keep those in mind as we look to expand our campaigns in the future. So working with Outfront has just been an amazing experience. And so as we look at them, one of the things just to keep in mind is, what is the target audience? And for us, we have lots of different audiences, whether it's egos for their owners or the partners or retail buyers, competition, or then the end consumers. And so all those things come into place when we actually place billboards. So for us, we do a lot of business with Home Depot and Lowe's. And so we worked with Outfront to identify the billboards that are headed to the airports where the buyers may be leaving from their corporate offices and headed to airports or in high areas where they may be walking stores. And so those are all things that we take in consideration as we target our audience and look at the ideal locations to place the messages. When we're looking at artwork, one of the things that we do is we actually do some visual screening. And so one of the things that, we had to do is, plant Proven Winners. People really didn't know that Proven Winners was a plant brand. A lot of people use flowers and plants in various advertisements. And so we wanted to really make sure that people were registering the Proven Winners name. And as other speakers have mentioned, sometimes there's just way too much copy on some of these ads. And I really like the ones that Paul and his team have created. In our case, we have to have the Proven Winners logo or the identification of our retailers. And so that's a stipulation that they've asked us as part of the co-oping. But one of the things that we do to see how effective these are is we actually run it through a visual screening process. And this is a visual service that will actually in 3 to 5 seconds evaluate where people are actually looking on a billboard or any form of advertisement. And so are they ignoring the plants on the right, or are they reading the Proven Winner's name? Are they catching the logo of the company that we want to be highlighting there? And so the blue areas are where people have scanned, and the red and yellow areas are where folks have actually put a lot of time and energy and stared at those things. We can also actually track where the eyeballs are going. So this is about 100,000 eyeballs that are looking at this. And you can see in the very top example that the consumer was actually reading it in the order that most people read, left to right. And you can see here on the bottom left one, you can see that they were staring at the plant and there was more energy put there. And for us, that's okay. We want them to see that because that's the product that they're actually going to be looking for at retail. And then they're coming back and reading the name. Some of the other ones, they sort of zigzag around a little bit. So we have to be cognizant that we're not confusing the customer because, again, they have very short attention spans while they're driving. So that's an exercise that we've been doing for a number of years. As we decided to expand our campaign for this year because the outdoor category has just been phenomenal for us, whether it's anecdotal comments of our customers or our partners saying, hey, I saw a billboard. There's probably not a week where someone doesn't send me a picture of our billboard in certain cities. The last one was in Kansas City. We saw that. And so this year we've got about 30 static boards, 15 digital boards, generating about 75 million impressions. And new this year is we're adding a weather triggering. And so as Paul mentioned, he's got a lot of seasonality with his business from March till May. And the same thing was with gardening. And while people are investing in their homes, they're sort of holding back and waiting for great gardening days. And so we wanted to maximize our impressions for areas that perhaps we don't have static boards or it's not a key market, but we're still selling plants in that area and we wanted to support retailers. So Ben and his team literally put together a network of 900 digital boards that would be accessible. And instead of buying an entire week or a period of time, we've got the ability to look at some scenarios. And so they first created 4 weather scenarios for ideal, general and dual triggered and single triggered that were pertaining to 65 degrees or more with 48 hours. And what we learned is Gatorade and other products, if you get a spike with a single day temperature, it doesn't cause action to occur. But if you have multiple days or 48 hours or 72 hours of that same temperature, people are more apt to say, hey, this is more of a trend. Things are starting to warm up. It's time for me to garden. So we looked at each of these scenarios and saw what types of impressions that we'd be able to generate in those markets. And so Outfront created all those things and then came back with a final recommendation for us. And they said, why don't you look at 70 degrees plus, and with that, you will have enough of days and enough impressions to generate the business that you want to generate. And so we sort of took out some of the rain issues during that time, as long as the temperatures were high enough. And so we divided our market into 10% in the South and Western markets, and then 40 in the Midwest and the East Coast. And you can see there 929 billboards that were available to us that again are, digital boards that, we don't run for a full week or 2 weeks or something. We might if the criteria fits what we're actually trying to do. But again, it doesn't waste any dollars. And I've seen plenty of times where people have put, ads in places for snow blowers and it's 50 degrees outside and you just don't need that. And so for us, it's a great opportunity for us to protect our asset and use inventory that really is in front of the consumer at the right time. And then I think, this is just some of the early results. So this is when we just started, we just started this in March. And so it's only been running for a couple of weeks. And so already we've been on 237 different billboards in those marketplaces where, again, we couldn't afford to buy a week or 10 days or something. And also we didn't know what the weather might be in Idaho or Southern California or what it might look like. And so they enabled us to get into these marketplaces that we've never been in. The pacing is basically how quickly that campaign is rolling out and making sure that we're staying within the dollars we're allocated for those marketplaces as well as those markets. And so they do a great job of managing all that for us, as well as telling us what type of impressions. And this is all key information that I can then take to our stakeholders, the retailers, the retail buyers, our owners and so forth, because again, it is at the end of the day, what type of impressions are you getting for the dollars that you're spending? Proven Winners used to do a whole bunch of print media and a lot of television and so forth. And we've pulled all that away and really invested more dollars into outdoor, just because it's the right time, it's the right message at the right place, close to our retailers and our partners who are seeing it. And many of our customers or the primary buyers are not our end customers, our end gardeners. And so having this in a place where they can see it as well as our traditional customers has really enabled us to maximize the use of our dollars. So we couldn't be more thrilled with Outfront and how they have helped us in this area and really helped us along this journey of capturing this new consumer, because the estimates are there's 20 million new gardeners out there as a result of COVID. And when they're thinking about planting, we want them to think about Proven Winners and to plant Proven Winners. So thank you guys so much for your time today.
Great. So Aaron's going to pull down the presentation so we can see everyone. But I love that last portion, Marshall. We could hire you. That was great on pitching out front and out of home. Not surprisingly, we have a lot of fans for our client speakers, and a lot of questions came in over the course of the presentation. But Paul, I'm going to kick one to you. I'm going to combine a couple. But I heard you were initially hesitant to add out of home to your marketing mix. What factors pushed you to give it a shot, and what advice can you give some of the people who maybe haven't tried out of home yet?
I think the factors, I'd come from like a real estate background and kind of entrepreneurial person in general. I knew I had to try everything once, so I think that's what kind of pushed me to give it a shot. I also knew, with most marketing, it takes a while to know if you're going to get results. So you can't just like do it one time and then, expect some results. So I had to, we had to spend some money, let it sit out there, and then, just have faith that it would work. And if it didn't work, okay, well, we'll move on to something else that, it would be a better fit for us. But it ended up working. And again, with our markets, we're in these really small towns, and in Oregon, they've got a lot of billboard laws and really weird regulations. So there's not a whole lot of billboards in this part of the country and where we are. So if we take like a large percentage of the billboards in a small town, it's like really obvious. It's like crazy. It's like we have half the town's billboards. It's pretty cool. So
great. And this next one kind of is a nice lead in from that first one on the results that you get from out of home. So maybe I'll throw it to Marshall first. How has out of home helped your business, and what results are you seeing directly from the billboards?
Yeah, for us, I mean, we initially started as a national program with the Home Depot, and as soon as we started putting our logo out there, Lowe's started calling us immediately and saying, "Hey, how can I be on billboards with our logo on there?" And so strategically, we actually put billboards with the Home Depot logo on them right outside the Charlotte airport, right outside the Lowe's headquarters, and it got some attention immediately. And so I can just say anecdotally that as a result of doing outdoor, people were in our industry, there hasn't been a lot of outdoor advertising in that platform. And so for us, it was a fresh look. And it really it really allowed all the retailer partners who didn't think that we were advertising in their area to all of a sudden see a billboard in their area. It's something that they couldn't ignore. So it's helped us expand our business. We've had a lot of growth. I wouldn't say we're at Paul's level at 60% this year, but congratulations. It's huge, and it's something that we continue to expand every year, and something that we won't be going away from for sure.
That's great. I love the strategic placement outside of Lowe's, so they feel the FOMO effect and have to get a billboard of their own. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Paul, you want to dig in a little bit more on how Outfront or out-of-home advertising has impacted your business over the years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, it's been positive. Again, I think as a new company, we were quite aggressive with our growth. So I don't think we could have grown nearly as quickly without it, just because, you know, you can only spend so much on, for us, it's obviously different, but we can only spend so much on pay-per-click ads and Facebook ads and direct mail, and like that you can track and you can see the return on investment start to come down. And billboards in my market aren't, again, I don't know how expensive they are in other markets, but they're not that expensive in my opinion for what we can get out of them. So to me, it just kind of complements them. And we've run into this with Google AdWords a fair amount, where we just kind of hit a point where it's like we can't generate any more leads out of Google. So in Google search, so we've, you know, billboards is the other, you know, other way to get that for us. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah, to add on to a
yeah.
little bit of that, you know, we also work with a number of smaller customers. You know, I see some of the comments coming in that they might have a small budget, and we've got a number of small retailers who just reach out to us and say, hey, you know, you're buying a national campaign, you know, you're obviously hooked up with Outfront. Is there a way that you could help us? And you guys have always been willing to look at that on behalf of our customers. And so if you are a very small business, I mean, I've seen, you know, billboards at, you know, a couple $1,000s, right, that are available. We've got billboards in Lancaster, Pennsylvania that are just for Amish folks who are seeing things. And so there are some very affordable things that really get an impression out there. And when people see that, it was back in the day when you were on a television ad, people thought you were this huge company. And so I think billboards do provide that sense that your company is larger. It puts you on a scale that, yeah, perhaps a magazine or another type of advertisement doesn't necessarily provide, because they see a lot of local advertisements with Facebook and other things and Google ads. But I think billboards really sort of put you on a different playing level. It really elevates your creative as well as your company. And I would highly encourage folks, even if they have a small budget, to, you know, as Paul said, you know, look at allocating some different resources and try it. I guarantee people will comment that they have seen it. They are very effective in that way, even with a small amount of money.
Yeah, we've coined that the made it moment, so that when a business feels like they can get up on a billboard, they've made it. And it is that fame and all of the added and complementary media that you get from it, you know, organically. It really is great. And that leads into another question I'm actually going to throw over to Erin, because I think, Marshall, you described very well that Outfront isn't one size fits all, that we are very conducive to your budget, your KPIs, and the target audience that you're trying to reach, and adapting our media to fit that. So Erin, so one person asked, I have a specific target audience in mind that I'm trying to reach. Does Outfront have any capabilities that will help me locate where these audiences are?
The answer would be yes. So we have third-party resources that we use, as well as some proprietary resources that we use that help us pinpoint just a multitude of combinations of audiences across all of our markets. So we know not only where people live and where people work, we also know where they're moving about the market, right? So every time you get a proposal from Outfront, it's going to be based on what you're trying to achieve. And if target audience is one of your KPIs, that is what the recommendations are going to be based on. Here are the boards that are going to give you the highest amount of reach for this audience that you're looking to have a conversation with. Here are our recommendations. We always look at things like that. Again, like you said, nothing's one size fits all. We're not selling you something because we have a few extra posters left or a few extra bulletins and we want to, you know, push them out. Every single proposal is custom and based on your needs.
Great. It's all about the partnership here at Outfront. Marshall, I'm coming back to you. I'm going to read this one verbatim here. We are a medium HVAC company that just acquired another company in the same area where we serve both B2B and B2C. What is the best approach for this as a co-branding for the signage?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think trying to determine what is the best message that you want to communicate. Are you trying to let folks know that you're a new company or you've acquired a company? Is that the key message? Is it a message to reaffirm to your employees now that you have a whole bunch of new employees that are now working for a new company? Because that's a big change for a lot of those families who have been involved with that. And so putting up visuals that is reminding that, hey, this is okay. This is a company that is on the rise, is a huge opportunity. So again, when you're thinking about audience, you got to think about just not the consumer who may be taking over those resources or being used to hire, but think about how you're playing out in the community, because there are people talking about this merger, right? There's employees that are impacted by this. And so making sure that you are figuring out what your key message is, and then branding appropriately and doing it in a positive way. So if you are trying to communicate that you are brand X and now brand X was Y or whatever the case may be, do it in a positive way and try to do that in a creative way. But, certainly, you want them to remember the new company better. And so, just making sure, and I'm sure Outfront has got those examples where they've worked with some clients who have done that. But for us, we try to keep, the logos as small as possible for Home Depot and Lowe's, because they only sell 25% of our overall sales, and it ticks off a lot of my independent garden centers. And so there is a little bit of some catwalking to do on that occasionally. But I think it really comes down to messaging and then the placement. If that company was really, really strong in a certain area, and they had a great reputation, again, thank those customers and do something that is thankful. Hey, thank you so much for supporting this company. We are now XYZ. If they had a poor reputation, then, you're not talking about that company. So again, I think it really takes into account why the change was done, but don't overthink it from a consumer standpoint. If you feel that the need that it's there. Otherwise, I would just go hog heaven with, you guys are the new player in that area, and here's their identity, and here's how to get in touch with you guys. And I would focus on that instead. So I'm not sure if I answered your question on that, but that's sort of what I would
feel
think
as
about.
though you did. And you can only hear me, I suppose. That's great. So we've been talking a lot about the science portion of out of home in terms of targeting audiences. And I love to end it on the creative, because as we know, creative drives 70% of an ad's effectiveness. So Sandra, what has been your favorite home improvement category to work on or design for? What's your favorite home improvement one?
That's a hard question. Actually, I feel like it's really about, like, we make it fun, right? So it's really about what I mentioned earlier is, getting to know the client and their brand. Like, for example, Ironhead Roofing, they're a brand who really knows themselves. And when a brand knows themselves and they're able to, explain that to us, that really sparks a lot of creativity and ideas for us. So yeah, I'd have to say I don't have a favorite category, but it's really just about, you knowing yourself and us working with you as a partner to, help tell that story.
Great. And I'm going to throw this out to the entire group. What is the most important part to you about the creative process with out of home?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. The most important part is truly like getting to know the client. Like, I can't say that enough. We love getting to know you guys. That's our favorite part. It's probably the most fun part.
Oh, so fun that she froze.
Yes.
Do one of
our thing to say. Yes.
our lovely clients want to pick up and tell us what you love about the creative process with out of home?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's just that humor and, making something that's memorable and funny and is going to make someone's day maybe a little bit better. Obviously we do traditional billboards as well, of course, that are just kind of more, just getting our logo and name out there. But yeah, adding the humor to it has always been fun to me. So I think that part I get a kick out of that. So
I agree. We all need some extra humor, especially with the past 2 years.
yeah.
Marshall, how about you with your creative process? Obviously, you dig into the analytics a lot.
Sure. Yeah, we actually haven't done a lot. I know you guys have created some things for us and we did some different directions, but I've been encouraged by this call and seeing some of the examples that it is a resource that you guys have that we probably haven't taken full advantage of. And during this day and age where it's hard to always get creative folks to think differently, and you guys have a whole team who's dedicated to this and seeing what's working in the marketplace. So I think for us, it's something that we'll take another look for the coming year and see what opportunities that we have to work with you guys closer, because I think you guys are doing some amazing work for us and other clients. So that's good.
Awesome. All right. Well, we went 15 minutes over because it was such a great conversation, but I think a lot of great advice for all the small businesses out there. We have recorded this session, so you'll receive an email from Outfront with the recording if you want to listen back. And we'll also be sharing some more applicable materials for this category with you. And just want to thank all of our panelists again, especially our clients. And thank you all for joining us for the Home Improvement Brand Builder. Have a great day.